All right, boss.
Yo, you got it?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
In selfie mode right now.
Okay.
So you can zoom in, like, what's up, dude? And zoom out, and move.
All right, guys, this is my first selfie attempt. Basically, we got a camera. I thought it'd be a good idea to start recording a little bit more of what we're actually doing to the car as we get it ready for a Black Friday track day. And let me switch this around. So yeah, sorry, I'm pretty much a noob with the camera. Usually someone else has been holding it for me, but thought I'd give it a try to see what all the rage is about. So we got the car up in the air. The goal is to basically test some R&D parts that we've been working on. If you're wondering why the car is still unpainted, it's because this is actually old footage from November of 2022. We actually documented getting this car back from the original frame shop to get it ready for a race day at Buttonwillow. But honestly, we were in such a rush that we didn't really follow up to get these clips released. You know, we spent such a long time putting the car back together though. I just really wanted to make sure that we could document and just show the process and the journey and honestly all the fun that we had with this car. We got Mark, who's on the Battle Garage team. He's giving me a hand today. And we'll be testing out some 3D printed prototype parts, as well as fitting some oil cooler lines that I built up over the weekend. And just, we're trying to get it into as good mechanical shape as we can as the track day is approaching. I pretty much realized I'm not gonna be able to do anything cosmetic with this car before the track day, so we just wanna get it running and attend, and after that we'll continue on the much needed bodywork. So this is one of the parts that we'll be testing. It's a caster camber adjustable camber plate, and we've been working on this with the Annex engineer, and we're going to be putting onto the car just to check for range of motion and actual fitment. So right now Mark is unbolting the old suspension so that we can take off the camber plate and stick this one in and just generally check for fitment and range of motion, like I was saying. I'm also going to be hopefully running the oil cooler line through here to fit up to the oil cooler bracket that I installed. And the reason why this oil cooler bracket has been changed is because like I mentioned before in previous videos, we completely changed this front end and it's often a different car. So with it, the one-off oil cooler brackets, if you will, that I had put on here before was removed, and we thought it'd be a good idea to use our bracket on here and fit this thing up in a more permanent way. Part of the job of relocating the oil cooler was going to require a longer hose. So came here over the weekend and I basically cut another hose, a longer one, to allow it to route through the original oil cooler hole and extend further out, because before this coil oil cooler was mounted in this area, and with our bracket we've got it further over here and actually tucked further back. So ultimately it's a better long-term position, but it did require me to lengthen the hose. Now this car did not have any of the protection here for the hose, so I bought some liner, which I'll show you guys in a bit, and I'm hoping it's gonna fit in there. If not, I might need to try a different one, but that's on the agenda today. How's it going, Mark?
Pretty good. Just finding the sockets for this. I got the one from here, and I got the bolt below the RCAs.
Gotcha.
Just trying to find all the tools to actually get this out. I have to walk back and forth to find them.
Okay, so we were able to slide it forward and back, and then we marked the positions. We did find that we need to make a few adjustments to get this thing to fit the best. I think we'll definitely want to keep nuts on there in real life, but you can see that these aren't real studs. There's no threads, so you can't put a nut on there right now. It's just for mock-up purposes. Well done, Mark. He's got the coilover back in place. Now let's move on to the oil cooler and see how I did. I lined this thing with a grommet. Not super happy with it, but I couldn't get it to curve enough, so I had to slit it to be able to make it around this really sharp angle. However, it is doing its job of protecting the nylon line from the sharp metal that was here before, since the original grommet is long gone. So what I need your help with, Mark, is we need to run this line through there, but I just need some help routing it around some of the wires in here to make it as neat as possible. But you'll hook up that line, and then we'll run it through this hole here and then across and over. So why don't you take a look at that, and then I'll make sure everything's torqued up on suspension, and we'll check back in. Okay, so we have hooked up the hose. We've routed it through the radiator support grommet and the hole there, and we've hooked it up to the block off plate. There are some wires I need to redo in here, but we're relatively happy with the lengths. It'll look neater once they're actually clumped together with a clamp that can hold these guys together. So, but it's looking pretty good. I think the length of the hose was a lot better than before. So now we're gonna lift up the car and we'll start testing the Driveshaft support loop, and I'm gonna hook up some of the wiring, like for the alternator and other stuff that the body shop left off. So let's get to it. I was just showing Kaz here. Kaz, you wanna say hi?
What's up?
was just telling Kazier that this car's pretty cool because we saw we met the owner yesterday. This car's been in his family his entire life. So his dad bought the car a year before he was born in 1985, I want to say. I think he was born in 86, and it's been in the family the entire time. It was purchased at a dealership in San Leandro that doesn't even exist anymore. So like this thing is extremely, like this thing's a relic. I think the entire time I've worked here, I haven't heard of a story like this. This is crazy. But like yeah, the original pizza cutters. And I don't even think they're refinished. This might even be factory finished, which is insane. Yeah, definitely cool. So Ezekiel brought this in, or met with a customer on, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Yeah, speaking of Ezekiel, the only reason why we're in here is because Ezekiel's at SEMA right now. No one tell him that he's in the lift. Yeah, Ezekiel's gracious enough to let us work in here while he's at SEMA. So yeah, right. California the entire time and in a garage. Like, dude, I don't know. Like, car has 130,000 miles. So like, I've heard of some cars on the internet where like they have fewer miles, but oh, that's funny, just dangling. Yeah, I've heard of some cars that have fewer miles, but like, I don't know, this is just like an original driver, you know? Like, yeah, it's just incredible. And then our coworker Steph was talking about how like all these like ridges here, they're extremely straight. There's just like one crease here. Whereas if you look at my car, it's like a shark's mouth, dude. Like at any moment, it's gonna cut you open. This is the second 3D printed part that we'll be testing. Ezekiel for quite some time has been asking us to make a drive shaft support hoop. On my car, he bent a piece of metal, but we're looking to actually make a part that people can use to safely keep their drive shafts up. And to see what I'm talking about, if we look at one of the customer cars over here, on the two-piece drive shaft, the OEM support bearing will basically support the drive shaft there. But when you have a single-piece drive shaft, there's nothing supporting the entire shaft. So basically, if a U-joint breaks or something in that front part drops down, it's very, very dangerous because as you're driving on the road, that U-joint can hit the ground and catch on something and literally catapult the car up. You might be able to find some YouTube videos of this, but it's terrifying.
Eric heard what sounded like 2 shotgun blasts next to him. It was every racer's worst nightmare. The transmission locked up and the mangled drive shaft blew through the floor pan and entered the car. The yoke end punched a hole in the roof and the bent shaft hit Derek in the head. Fortunately, he was wearing a full-face helmet. The seized transmission ripped the bell housing apart and it was sitting upside down in the trans tunnel.
And definitely a really big safety consideration if you guys have a single, one-piece solid drive shaft is to fit some kind of bracket there to make sure that it can't drop. All right, so quick update. Mark and I finished fully tightening up the oil cooler bracket. We ran the lines. I also test fit the radiator in place just to make sure, before we tighten everything up, to make sure that the hoses were going to clear and there wasn't going to be a clearance issue after the radiator went in, because it would definitely suck to install that and then nothing would fit and you'd have to take it all apart again. That part's looking good. We put some radiator support grommets on the bottom. Actually only one, but I guess more on that later. Bolted this in, and now we're just getting ready to put a JDM battery here instead of the small stereo battery that I was using before, just to give it a little bit more starting capability on track, because I was having trouble towards the end of the track day. I think just the battery was just too small. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, and hopefully there'll be a good update soon. Well, it's about 9:30. We actually got a little farther than I thought we would, to be honest. We got the JDM battery installed. I haven't hooked anything up because, again, a lot of the wiring was disconnected, and I'm just worried that might cause a short or something. Don't really have the time to be looking into wiring issues or shorts right now, so I'm just trying to be very cautious with the electrical system since that was taken apart and we didn't do it. So I'm just kind of, reconnecting the dots. I did rewrap and reconnect the alternator wiring. It was just showing its age, so I rewrapped that and connected that up. And then, as you can see, everything's pretty set up here. You can see the battery connectors, or the battery terminals are still covered. Got the hoses run here. I'm waiting on some connectors to allow me to connect the lines together. While those are waiting to come in, I'm now getting this thing ready for at least to do a test startup, just see how things are going. Right now I'm bleeding the oil cooler. So I've got a little, oil can here, and I'm just topping it off, filling it up to make sure there's no, residual air, and just try to reduce the time that it'll take before this thing builds up oil pressure. So just taking my time with this, just wait until I can see an oil over there. And then I will reconnect the hoses and paint mark them, fill this guy up with Toyota coolant, and I'm hoping this weekend I can actually turn it over and just see if she fires up. I just hooked the battery up. No sparks yet. That's a good sign. But now that I'm getting ready to turn this thing on, I just thought I would talk about some of the things that I wasn't expecting that I ran into, that maybe just something to consider for the next time I have some major work done, or maybe if you're thinking about having some major work done on your car. One thing I noticed is this whole section is from a new car. This section wasn't too bad, but it's still from my car. And there were some things that I didn't notice, and I don't think the frame shop noticed. Mike over the frame shop didn't notice either. So what I mean by that is the battery is actually a little bit tweaked and twisted. And I don't think anyone's noticed that before because I was using a much lower profile battery that was down to the ground. That's unfortunate. I wish maybe I could at least transfer the tray over or something like that, but not the end of the world, just something I noticed. We did have an issue with the filter. When some of the welding was being done, some sparks crossed over and they actually caught this on fire. Luckily, we're a Pipercross dealer, so I've got loads of these, but just something to think about is when work is being done, some things might happen. You might have to replace things that are unexpected. Definitely wasn't expecting to replace this. There was a little bit of overspray. You can still see some of it on the cam gears. There's like kind of a red tinge to some of the parts around here. And everything is very, very dusty, like tons and tons of dust. I actually wiped down quite a bit of it, so that's why it's, it's red as it is. But there's loads of dust. You can kind of see some of the dust and the overspray back there. Again, this is nothing to take away from Mike or the body shop. I think they did a tremendous job. It's just, it's gonna happen. When you're in a body shop environment, there's a lot of dust flying. There's a lot of debris flying. It's gonna get dirty. So definitely, need to plan to have some cleanup work in here. And that's part of the reason I'm just kind of taking my time, expecting that things are gonna take longer than I would think, just because, as I'm going, I'm wiping and trying to polish things up, just kind of removing some of the grit and grime that's collected while the car was over there. I think about like 6 months, maybe 4 months, kind of going through and cleaning things up a bit. But I'm actually gonna turn the lights on and just see how the electrical system is working. I finished topping this thing up with oil. I disconnected the fuel injectors, and I think I'm gonna try turning this thing over to see if, one, does it turn over, and two, does it build oil pressure? And then we'll see how it goes. I think that'll be it for me for tonight. It's getting pretty late here. But let's see how it does. Oh snap, we got lights. No corner lights, it seems like. But the dash is lighting up a bit. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. It's everywhere. The headlight's turning on, but not popping up. That's okay. That's how it was before. Not sure why the corner light's not turning on, but honestly, it's a track car. That's really not that big a deal. Looks like it's just one that's maybe not a connector. Maybe the bulb got messed up, but this one's lighting up. Nothing's catching on fire. No sparks. I think I'm gonna turn it over.